Okay, so welcome to Trail Run Coach tonight. I'm Coach Loretta and I'm here with Coach Scott. Thanks for joining us again tonight, Scott.
Of course.
Yes, so tonight we're going to do a really cool thing, or I think it's really cool. Coach Scott has a PhD and he's a licensed psychologist. And so tonight we're going to kind of dig into visualization for peak performance. So I'm going to go ahead and let Coach Scott kind of take it from here and give us a little bit of background about what is visualization that people talk about.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so first of all, let me say that one of the very first things they teach you when you're a little junior therapist in grad school is they teach you how to role play, right? And we all know what that is because we've all tried that and we, understand. Then the next thing they teach you is guided imagery. And that is, sort of picturing a scene and, using it to promote relaxation and wellness and sort of, feeling balanced, almost a mindfulness type thing. So visualization for peak performance in sport is a particular sort of extension of that, just applied to sports and athletics. And so what is visualization then? So let's start out with the definition of that. Visualization is creating a positive mental picture that you can use for peak athletic performance. So you're creating a scene in your mind that you can use and refer to sort of give yourself some cues and an image and sort of a scenario that will help you during a race, during a particularly difficult part in a race on a course. If there's one section that's just a real grind and it's so hard, this can help you focus and prevent you from slipping into a lot of negative thinking and negative self-talk, which can really, undo you on race day. So that's what we're talking about. Visualization is creating a positive mental picture for peak athletic performance.
Excellent. And who doesn't want to start out a race in a positive mindset, right?
Absolutely. So how do you do it exactly? This is something that people hear about, they think about this, they hear it referenced, but nobody ever talks about it out on the trail. I never have people say, oh boy, I wish I knew how to visualize this section better or whatever. You just don't hear it. So what we wanted to do tonight, and this was Loretta's idea, is to talk about this and how this might be helpful to people and what you do. So there's a few basic steps in the process. And so just generally speaking, the first thing we're going to talk about is preparation, creating the foundation. Then we're going to talk about creating a desired image, setting the agenda. Then we're going to talk about practice. Practice makes perfect. And then we're going to run through an exercise with our guest. And then we're going to have some final thoughts and check-in. So let me just briefly speak about preparation, creating the foundation. How do you do this? Okay, so you want to ideally create a quiet space and a time when you can just easily filter out all the distractions, all the noise of the day. You just want to try to focus in on what you're doing, not be worrying about the doorbell ringing, the kids needing to be fed, the laundry, is buzzing. You've got all these other things going on. You want to try to create a little time when you can have this sort of ability to focus. And the goal is to perform this exercise when you're feeling rested and focused, but not necessarily tired and fatigued. If you had a long day and you're really wiped out, it's probably not the best thing to try. So you want to have focus and be able to sort of be mindful in this moment. You should find a comfortable chair or a spot with no pressure points, preferably. You should ensure good physical comfort and all of your immediate needs are met. Wink, wink, like you don't need to make a bathroom stop. And that the temperature is comfortable. You're wearing loose fitting and comfortable clothes, so that all these things are taken care of. You're just comfortable, relaxed in your own space, in a bubble. You can begin to focus in and guide your thinking. Make sense?
Okay. Yes, it makes sense. So now we have preparation covered, and the next step we're going to go into sort of setting the agenda. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that looks?
Yes. So the purpose is to have a clear and specific goal. We really want to have something. We don't want to just kind of freewheel and kind of let our thoughts drift. We want to have a specific goal of what we want to accomplish, what we want to be able to visualize. And we want to make sure that the images and experience needed to accomplish your goal are as detailed and as vivid as possible. You want to really focus in on all those little details. You want to focus in on the who, what, where, when, why. Focus on the sights, sounds, sensations, smells, tastes, emotions, etc. Everything that you can pack into this to make it almost like you're there. And then you want to imagine the result that you'd like to achieve and focus on the process of achieving it. It's best to step through this exercise slowly and methodically. Give the experience time to sink in and for you to really absorb it. It's important, if you're going to have somebody lead you through this, it's important to have them attend to things like, their rate that they're speaking and the volume and the tone, so that it's, kind of comfortable and matches what you would like to hear. It's important when you're establishing the agenda, it's important to attend to specific techniques that you want to focus on, such as your gait, cadence, foot placement, form issues, head position, arm swing. Whatever it is that you may struggle with, really picture yourself focused in and doing, really good work in that particular regard, whatever that movement pattern may be. It's also important to maintain deep diaphragmatic breathing throughout. So breathing, pushing your belly out, really just taking full breath, just really relaxing. And then it's important to enhance and hold the visualization as long as possible without drifting into any negative thoughts or images, or becoming so relaxed that you become drowsy and fall asleep. We don't want to do that either. So that's kind of what the agenda looks like. And we have a willing volunteer tonight.
Yes. So I'm super excited to get to introduce Ila Allen. She's actually one of my athletes that I'm coaching, and she has some great big goals this year. And this was actually sort of her idea. She had, heard a little bit about it, I believe, and mentioned it to me. So I brought it up to Coach Scott, and then of course I asked her to come. So thank you so much for coming tonight, Ila. Is there anything that you would like to say before we get started?
No, I'm excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Ila is a super person to coach. She's a good listener and loves to learn. So we're again really happy and really want to thank you for taking the time to do this, because I think it can really help other people. So Coach Scott, let's take her through.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to chat with Ila for a good bit of time earlier, and we talked about some of the things that she would like to focus on, and she thought that the Galena Sky Race would have a particularly tough section that she wanted to work on. So I got a lot of detail from Ila about that. So Ila, maybe you could kind of just tell everybody, sort of what you thought and kind of what you're looking for, sort of what your challenge might be at Galena.
Well, living here in the Chicago area, we're known as the Flatlanders because we basically don't have any hills here unless we drive like 3 to 4 hours to get to them. And so Galena is a ski resort and it is hilly. So that's a main concern. So I've watched a couple of videos of the race to see, I'm like, okay, I will be rolling the other way if I don't do too good on this. And hills have always been a challenge. At least this one is not with drop-offs on the side, so I won't have the fear. I have a fear of heights, so I don't have to worry about this. I'm not jumping off the ski lift to do this. So, but still, hills are difficult. I do hill repeats every weekend, so, but nothing is like the actual course itself. Plus, it's on grass. We don't run on grass here. I run on pavement. And most people are probably like, oh my gosh, she runs on pavement. But like I said, the trails are not close here. And so that's my main concern is being able to tackle that hill, because it's a 2.75 mile loop. So I'm going to be kissing that hill every time I come around. And I have a personal goal that I'm trying to meet with that. And I just want to make sure I go in with fresh brain, fresh mind. And when the negativity starts creeping in, because it will, I don't care how good you are, stuff will start creeping in. And I just want to be able to know how to just move it to the side and basically say, trust your training. You've been on worse. So that means you should be able to do this.
Excellent.
Awesome. Yeah. I was going to just ask Coach Scott, Ila mentions that she watched videos of the course. Is that something that helps with this visualization?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can visit the course, or if you know what that section is like because you've run it before, or you can do some YouTube stalking or whatever to find something that gives you a starting point, that is excellent. So yeah, great job, Ila. That is wonderful when you can actually start by seeing a picture.
Right.
So Ila's goal is to develop a positive mental picture for use in the Galena Sky Race.
Yes.
Ila, are you comfortable and feel sort of like you're in a good space and are relaxed and just sort of ready to start thinking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't you start out by just taking a few deep breaths, just, sort of relax, begin to just feel your stress leave your body as you exhale. And, just sort of feel that breath filling your lungs and just, letting you sort of let down a little bit, forgetting about any of the stresses you've been thinking about, just trying to relax and focus in a bit. If it helps you, you may certainly close your eyes, or you may certainly turn your camera off if you're more comfortable. The point is that we are going to then just start talking about this race, Ila.
Okay.
So you and I have talked about this, and I'd like you to start by picturing you wearing your favorite race pack. You have your water bottle filled with tropical gnarly, which is your favorite flavor. You have an assortment of your favorite spring energy gels. You also have some plain Ruffles, your favorite potato chips, just plain. Some almonds, a Ziploc baggie full of plain bagel pieces, all cubed and ready to go. Everything you need is in your pack. As you prepare, Ila, you look about, and the trail today, you notice, is grassy and green. The brush and grasses are softly waving in the gentle breeze. There is a distinct and well-worn path upward. You can see the hill and the chairlift. You know that your car is near the base of the hill, and everything else you may need is there. Your vision is clear and sharp on this day, and you have watched a video of this event and know what to expect in this section. You hear the voice of Ryan cheering you on, and you hear him say, "You've got this, Ila. Keep going." This lifts your spirits. You begin the climb up the hill, and you are running softly and lightly. You feel strong, powerful, and in control. You've trained for this. You feel in the zone. You can feel the breeze on your skin, and it awakens and sharpens your senses. You continue moving deliberately up the slope as it steepens just slightly. You can smell the wildflowers and see the leaves of the trees swaying softly along the edges of the ski trail. You see your friend Sparkle and she reaches out to high five you with a soft clap. This lifts your spirits and gives you a boost. Your feet feel the soft grass, and you are grateful for the grip that your shoes provide as you climb. Your steps are deliberate and sure. You are steadily approaching the top of the chairlift, and you hear one of the chairs softly clanging as the gentle cooling breeze causes it to bump into one of the towers. You are ready to make the turn and begin your descent, feeling strong and joyful for the chance to use your body to its fullest. You pause for just a brief moment, marveling at the view from the top, and to eat a spring energy gel. Elizabeth is now by your side, and you are in sync with her movements, even though you have not spoken on your climb. As you begin the descent, you thank her for being such a friend and running partner over all of the many miles you two have shared together in your training. You feel grateful for her companionship and encouragement. You tell Elizabeth how fortunate you feel to have her as a friend and how much you appreciate her. Your descent is smooth and controlled. You feel sure-footed and confident as you prepare to complete this loop and look toward the timing map. It beeps steadily for a second or two as you cross and complete this loop. You remain happy and feel fulfilled on this day. Your mantra is, "You're rocking it, Ila," and you catch a glimpse of a random spectator who says, "You're awesome," as you smoothly glide by and prepare for the next loop. You tell yourself to take this one step at a time. You keep moving forward. You feel fully alive today and are enjoying this moment. You feel present and thankful for what your body can do to carry you forward. You are one with this run. You are mindful in this moment. Elizabeth is there. You are in the zone. You can handle anything that may arise today, and you are enjoying this journey and are full of joy. Does that feel like an okay place to leave this for now, Ila?
Yes.
We'll give you just a moment to sort of focus in on that and dwell on that just a moment, and then we'll come back to hear sort of your experience of this. Okay. So what I would like to do now is to talk with our audience about how practice makes perfect when it comes to these things. And that it's important to think of these as mental practice sessions that are an essential part of your training. Just as you would not miss any other workout, it's important not to miss these workouts either. These are important to prepare yourself mentally and create that toughness that you need to get through some of these tough moments. So the idea is to close your eyes so you can see these images in your mind and what you would like to happen on the trail. You want to try to see and feel the experiences that you would like to have on race day. It's important not to focus on when things go wrong. You would never want to visualize falling down in the mud, losing a shoe, ending up, you don't want to go there with that. This is about positive imagery. And you don't have to be a visual person necessarily to do this. It turns out that Ila is very creative and artsy and has very good sort of, visual abilities. But not everybody has that, and you don't have to. You can do this even if you're not sort of that type of a person. The more effort you make with these, the more likely the result will be improved performance. And sufficient practice can lead to greatly improved confidence when it comes to some of these tough sections. So, Ila, what was your experience of this? I mean, how did this feel? How did this go?
I felt very comfortable. And if I can get into that type of a zone at race day, at race time, because you're going to have the anxiety, you'll be happy to see people and to meet people. But when you approach that start line, that's when it's like you're being possessed. I have to use the word possessed, but it's like everything starts popping. Can I do this? Am I ready? You start getting very anxious. That's the word I'm looking for. And if I can just keep that to a low roar, knowing that this is a long run for today. This is my hill run for today. I have my run buddy next to me, and we do this every Saturday, so we know the drill. So just put myself in the frame of mind. I don't want people to think that, when you say it and when you and actually do it, it's two different things, because you can say it all you want, but you really have to work hard to get in that place. And so that's what I want to learn to do, to get into that place, and be ready to do that.
What would you change if we were going to go through this again? What would make this more effective or more meaningful to you? What would we need to adjust?
To know how to turn it on. Because I'm not going to have that kind of time to sit here and pontificate everything, and we start in 5 minutes. Okay, so I that goes all out the window, and the gun goes off, and we're ready to go. So I want to learn. I want to learn how to get into that mode, and like you said, practice. You don't practice the night before the race. I've already started practicing.
Yes.
Doing that now, but just to find that little corner, so I can just move into that very easily.
Yes.
A nice transition.
You can adjust this too, Ila, as you go back through it. The more you do this and the more you refine it and kind of focus it in, the more effective it'll be. And if you can just kind of keep going so that, you can get to the point where you can just say, I can turn this on right now. I'm here. I've been here. I've done this before. I've seen this. I'm in the zone now. I know how this is going to go. I've got this. That will translate into improved confidence and performance. So, okay.
So Coach Scott, if I have a race coming up, is there a certain amount of time that I should, start implementing some of this?
Yeah, I would say, the more you can practice this, the better. And especially the more you learn about the course as you're doing your research on the course, or what the map looks like, or you can tell, this is going to be a really tough climb here. As you're developing, that knowledge, I would say start building in some of these exercises. So, yeah.
Is it something that would be also useful to write this down? So you're, getting a couple different forms of input?
Yeah, I mean, if you have someone that will guide you through this, I think that makes sense for you to write the script and then you just follow it, kind of like I did with Ila. Mm-hmm. If you're on your own, though, you're kind of visualizing things yourself, and trying to get all the details in there, is harder, but you can still do it. It does still work.
Okay.
So just kind of winding it down a little bit, I guess what I would say is it's important to pick a race or a section of trail that you're expecting will be a challenge. It's important to consider visiting the course if feasible, or at least going by video like Ila did, to actually kind of see and experience the terrain. As we said a moment ago, it may be helpful to have someone walk you through the exercise, or maybe not. It's up to you. You can kind of try it both ways. If you do have someone guiding you through it, it's important for them to have a voice tone and rate that matches your needs and isn't something that you find kind of annoying or irritating, or or too soothing. You don't want them to put you to sleep. A first person perspective is recommended. You want to be there seeing it. You don't want to sort of hear about it. You want to, sorry about that. Are we still there? Okay, sorry about that. You want a first person perspective. You need to seek and guide your thoughts positively. You need to direct them. Focus only on positives and extinguish any negatives or doubts that may creep in. You want to snuff out negativity. It has no place in this exercise. I'm not saying it's unimportant to problem solve and think about, okay, well, what if this happens at this point in the race? Will I change shoes? Will I, swap out socks or get some whatever? That I'm not saying don't do that, but as part of this exercise, only focus on the positives, and so that you can learn to guide your thinking in a positive way and control your thoughts. So, and it's important to have a mantra. Perhaps you could build in visualization of a mantra that you're using. And that ultimately, this can kind of correct and counter condition any negative self-statements or irrational beliefs, unfounded doubts, whatever it is that creeps in and has a tendency to kind of drag you down deep in the race. So. Right. Do we have any comments or any questions or any other things come up?
So I have a question. So, one of my struggles in my races is getting in enough nutrition. Would that be something good, to build that in? Like, okay, I know when I get to this point, I need to take a sip or whatever, or eat something. How would you, I noticed that you did put in hers, like when she got to the top, she had a spring energy gel. So you could kind of sprinkle that in?
Yeah. Ila had talked about that, that she used the spring energy and, that, getting enough in was, going to be a concern and stuff. So that's why I wanted to plug that in there too, to kind of, focus that as well, just to make it as vivid as possible. So yeah, you could do the same thing, Loretta. I mean, you could just kind of picture yourself, every so often, getting in some kind of calories and hydration and whatever, you might need.
Right. So. Okay. Ila, do you have any questions for Coach Scott?
I do. A quick one. When you said about have someone guiding you through, just like you were guiding me, could I not record myself guiding myself?
Absolutely. Great idea.
Make a recording of it and then just play it. So when I got ready to go through this exercise, it's really me talking to me. Maybe it sounds a little goofy, but if I just keep that same tone and visualize, just like you did with me, have it on a recording and just play it back as make my own video and just keep doing it until I just keep doing it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Do it until race day and feel like and believe it. Start, really to believe to have that set that positive mindset.
You could put it on your playlist for race day.
Good too. That's good.
Ila, any other questions or any other experiences or thoughts about this? I mean, this is kind of a new thing for you.
I just, I really like this. I've always tend to visualize when I'm finished running and I know I'm like a mile out from my car. I pretend it's like the finish line and I hear people cheering, and I start smiling. I'm coming. I could be in pain or whatever, but I know I'm getting there. On my long runs, I really try to visualize. And when I hit that wall or hit that point as to where, okay, I need help. So I start searching in my head, what I call my mental file box, and start pulling out stuff. Don't want that. Oh, how about this song? And just enough to quit focusing on my legs are tired, my feet I'm hot, I'm freezing. Because like you said, if you go there, that can derail you. And if it can derail you in training, it can definitely derail you in your race. So I think this will just really help me hone on what I've been doing on the outskirts. And now I can just really bring it in. And now I have a solid foundation that you've given me in order to build upon that and keep doing this, whether it's 3 miles or 20 miles, if you just keep doing it all the time, regardless of the mileage, it's about training the mind. So if I do that every day, you know, that's what helps me. If I know I got a long run coming up on Saturday, I used to, oh God, I got a long run coming up, opposed to, okay, you have a long run on Saturday, you know, you need your vest, you know, you need to have this, make sure you have your nutrition. So I start stepping through and just certain points that I need to do. I usually have my buddy with me. She's watching, I think. And
Elizabeth.
Hi, Elizabeth.
And we plan it out, and we really pace well together. And, you know, Coach Loretta has showed me how to program my watch so I can eat or sip every 15 minutes. And it is really helped. So that, you know, I think it's just all part of the plan. And I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm come from 0 to about maybe 40 now. So it's getting much better. So
don't let her fool you. She's a star student.
It just, you know, like you said, practice makes perfect. You know, you just tweak it and hone it. You have to adjust it as you go along. You know, it could be some bumps in the road, but you need to know that's another thing. If you hit that bump, you need to know how to pivot. You don't stay there.
Right.
Whatever's happened. You acknowledge it and then fix it and move on.
Yep.
Unless you break your leg. Okay. So, I mean, you know.
If there's a bone sticking out, you should probably stop.
You should probably stop. Right.
So there is a question in the chat. Should I be realistic when I'm doing the guided visualization? As in, I know that my legs might burn when I go up the hill. Can I say that and think that, and how I'm going to get past that? Like, I can feel my legs burning, but I am, you know, making it up the hill or whatever. I mean, is that something that we would add?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't dwell on it. You know, it's okay to put in something like that. Like, okay, yeah, you know, even though my legs are starting to feel fatigued, I know that I can accomplish this hill because I've done this in training. And I know that within a short time, I'll be turning and coming back down, or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, I wouldn't dwell more than a split second on any of the negativity or the challenge. I would then switch it right around and say, oh, but also look at that bald eagle up in the tree. That's amazing. That is so wonderful. Oh, I can feel the breeze. I can see, you know, switch and focus on something else, because this is about directing your mental energy in a positive way that will help you be tougher and choose a focus that will help you continue going forward.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. This has been super helpful. I have done some of this on my own, but I really am grateful to have an expert here kind of bringing us through. I will share what my mantra is. Maybe some people already know it, but it's just smile, relax, and run. And I believe for me, smile, relax, and run. And if I can get myself into that mode, that's my best races, because when I smile, my body relaxes, my shoulders go down, I'm comfortable, I'm in my zone, and I'm not into those negative thoughts. Things change for me, right? And so whenever I start to feel tight and those negative thoughts start to come in, if I can get to my point and remind myself, just smile, relax, and run, you're good. And, you know, we also know, and Scott probably could add to this, that smiling is a really good strategy when you're running, because it does, you have, you know, there's research that talks about what happens when you smile. I don't know if you want to touch on that, Scott, but it, you know, it does change chemistry in your body.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're just learning more and more about that. You know, just in the last few years, we've seen a lot of research about that. It's kind of analogous to, you know, in good form, driving your arms forward brings that opposite leg up, you know, and it can increase your turnover. It's the same thing. When you're smiling, it can affect your mental processing and direction. So why not, when you roll into the aid station, when they say, oh, how's it going? You should smile and say, this is awesome. I can't believe that you have bacon and you've got, you know, whatever. And this is so great. You guys, thank you so much. That totally focuses you in a different direction, rather than, oh my gosh, I lost my gut a ways back. I feel terrible. My legs hurt. No. You focus on being thankful and grateful and what's there and the fact that they do have some broth and, whatever it is. And, you just direct your mental energy in a positive way.
Right. And I think that, goes along for me. I don't know about the two of you, but when I'm thinking about a run, and sometimes, you're like, oh, I have to go out and run. But then I start to think, no, I don't have to go out and run. I get to go out and run today. And that can change your whole mindset about going out. I get to go outside. I get to spend all of this time outside. And then I get excited for it versus that I have to do that. That makes you feel like, oh, I don't want to walk out the door. So I think really changing your mindset for things is super helpful. Another strategy that I like to use, and Scott, you can probably talk about this a little bit too, is I like to write it out like on my mirror, with dry erase, what my goal is, so that every morning when I look at myself in the mirror, I read that to myself. So, setting that expectation that I can do that and I can achieve it. It might be, I am a 100-mile finisher, or, whatever your goal is, it's there and you read it and it's conscious every day. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No, that's a great idea. Yeah, putting sticky notes all over the place that have all those positives and those goals and the reasons why and all that stuff. I once last year ran a race, and there were a group of ladies there that I knew and hadn't run with. They live on your side of the state, Loretta. But they were doing a 24-hour race, and they each had a poster board that had a sticky note for each mile, or each lap, and they had like a person they were thinking of during that lap, and they had a little thought, and they had just all these little inspirational things that they would grab every time they came through each lap, and they would then have that. Perfect. That is so good. So smart to just have that focus, and have that kind of sort of encouragement. So,
right.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've used a strategy similar to that. So I'm just kind of throwing some ideas for people to think about, positive mindsets and getting you through, because, when we're in some of these long events, we know that we're going to have to ride the wave, right? We're going to have some times where we feel high and feel really good. And then we're going to hit some lows where that's not so good. And it's really hard to get through. So in one of my races, again, one of my most successful races, my strategy was for like the hard miles, I had people's names in my mind, like my dad, my brother, my friend. And so I would dedicate that section of from aid station to aid station to thinking about them. And that really pulled me through some points where I was really slowing down, and I thought about, particularly like my dad, he would be so proud if he was here right now watching me, and, thinking about that. You can see a difference in my pace. I picked up the pace. I felt better. I was, in a whole different mindset. So there's so many different strategies that you can use to get yourself through. So if people are watching and you want to drop it in comments, because I think people have great ideas out there too that can help support our community and coming up with ideas that maybe worked for you. It might help someone else too.
And I would just like to add that I'm so used to being a solo runner. For many years, I've ran by myself. And I didn't realize how sometimes company can really help sometimes. So with Elizabeth and my other training buddy, Kate, we hang out together on the weekend, and Kate just finished Boston, and kudos to her. And we make a pack. It's not about motivating one another. It's just kind of being in the space of one another, because, somebody's dragging, come on, you got this. We got one more loop, or few more miles, or your hip is hurting, well, walk it out, don't just get it done. And I just have to say, I appreciate the camaraderie that those two give me. I still like running solo. There's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people say, I don't want to talk to anybody. And you don't even have to have a conversation. It's just the essence of their presence, if that makes sense. And I know they're there. Okay. And how you doing? And you keep going. So I can do both, but it does help on those 20 miles, and you look over there, you're both looking like, oh, why are we doing this? Okay. And then we laugh and we take a sip, and we keep it moving. So, it's just whatever can get you out of that funk, as I call it. If you can, just like Coach Scott said, you get out of that funk, because if you get there, it can suck you in and it won't let you go if you give it that power. So.
Completely agree with that. So any last thoughts before we go tonight?
Good luck at Galena, Ila. I hope it goes well. I hope that this has been helpful to you in some way. And I'm eager to hear how it goes.
I will give you feedback and thank you for helping me. And I'm gonna get this and try to make everybody proud. So this will be very helpful.
Awesome. So again, thank you so much, Coach Scott and Ila, for joining us tonight. I've been so excited about this. I hope it helped people out there. This will be recorded. It will be on our Trail Run coaching page, and it will also be able to be found on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to watch it and learn from it. And stay tuned for more upcoming fun question and answers. We have one coming up on, Coach Scott, is it May 24th?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I
right.
believe it's May 24th. And our topic is going to be rim to rim to rim. So we have a few coaches that are going to be joining us, and one of my athletes, Tim Ryan, will also be here. And I think it will be a super valuable one also to learn about the experience, and they have some really great wisdom to share. So, and I know a lot of people have that on their bucket list. So make sure to mark your calendar down because that will be coming soon. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.
Thanks. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everybody. Good luck, Ila.